Growing up, I was a part of the education system, like many, but unlike the majority, I was a part of that generation that was considered the generation to be raised by technology. While I recall the days of Windows XP computers in my elementary school computer lab, I remember reaching high school and then being upgraded to Windows Vista, and by the time I was leaving, they were installing Windows 7. Now, kids have their own computers they use to do homework on and research topics they desire. So a question I want to propose is one that might be fairly broad in scope, but should be explored nonetheless. Are computers necessary for learning, or merely a tool used to aid in the education process? Myself, I cannot remember a time when computers were not in my education, so I would consider them a necessary piece of technology in at least the sense of required to do work, such as editing this video you're watching now. However, for some, the computer isn't necessary for doing schoolwork with places such as libraries, where books can provide the information. Computers have become a novelty that can look up the information faster for others. At this rate, it becomes a preference rather than a necessity. So how about a tool for education? Mary Dunkbar and Peter Zhang, in their article, Technology for Learning, How It Has Changed Education, cover the many ways in which computers have shaped education. In it, they discuss that the last 25 years, the healthcare and medical education system have expanded because of technology. To quote, "The role of technology in enhanced learning in health education has grown rapidly. Over 90% of medical schools in the US and Canada use online course materials for medical education. Although some people state that because of the technological change, today's students are no longer the people our education system was designed to teach. There is little evidence that students enter university with demands of new technologies that teachers cannot meet. Selection and use of formats such as e-modules or simulations in technology-enhanced learning should be based on informed choices of effectiveness and costs, with instructional objectives being in the lead. This can also go for most forms of education. Now schools have dedicated computer labs for teaching various classes, and colleges and universities let students use their own to take notes in class. This can be considered the shift into e-learning, a form of learning that dedicates a majority of the work and content to a web space, designed specifically to teach a student the material without a professor or figure present to teach the materials. This is an online-based learning, dedicated to help those who wish to learn but have little means to make it out to a classroom to learn and be taught the materials. From my experiences through high school, online e-learning was always something I looked forward to, being able to get the work done at my own pace and, a degree, teach myself. Does this remove a need for a teacher then? I would say no, because someone needs to be there to mark the work ultimately, and in some cases be present when a student doesn't understand the topic at hand. Most universities follow this structure too, to a degree that is. Universities offer online experiences and in a sense decrease the need for a classroom to teach. However, I don't think this makes the computer a tool that replaces the need for teachers, but rather a gateway into a realm where teachers aren't always necessary to be present. While I would not consider the computer to be a new form of education, it has become an instrument that has now become necessary for teaching, as it is now a tool that is used for education, such as a textbook. But does this mean that computers have a following negative effect in the classroom? According to Laura Mickengrod, there are a few. In her short video, Education, Teaching and Writing, Disadvantages of Computers in the Classroom, she describes a few instances in which the computer is a disadvantage in the classroom. Here's a clip from the short video.
Hi, I'm Laura from YoungWritersWorkshops.com, and I'm going to talk about some of the disadvantages of computers in the classroom. Both the advantages and disadvantages of computers in the classroom aren't very well documented, so it's a little bit difficult to make a really well-supported case in either direction, but there are some just practical disadvantages of using computers in the classroom that I thought I could outline for you. And one of them is that teacher preparation to use computers effectively is pretty spotty. There may be some teachers who have done some training or really thought it through and have come up with a good logistical plan for how to teach with a computer in the classroom or with several computers. But in general, this isn't something that teachers had as part of their training, especially teachers who have been teaching for quite a while. So you may find that teachers aren't very well prepared to teach with technology. Another disadvantage is that if there's an internet connected computer in the classroom, you may be opening students to inappropriate material, or even just overwhelming material. Students aren't always equipped to do a web search and make sense of the results, and so it can be overwhelming. So without some specific supports, an internet enabled computer can be overwhelming in the classroom and potentially a little bit dangerous. Another disadvantage is computers can waste time. You can end up having to compete with really interesting but not very effective software for students' attention. So my advice is to choose software really carefully that you do have on your computers in your classroom. Come up with some really good strategies for using the internet. If you are going to be using an internet enabled computer, make sure that you have some way to keep students from going into inappropriate sites, and also some way to help them to use a search engine so that they'll be able to make sense of the results and not go off on a useless direction while they're doing some online research. So those are some disadvantages and ideas about using computers in the classroom.
While she has several points to go against this, I would argue that the positive effects are greater. In the video, Top 10 Reasons to Use Technology in Education, iPads, Tablets, Computer Listening Centers, Sidra Raju explains several reasons why technology is good in the classroom. While I won't be covering all of them, the ones covered here are the ones that struck out as the most important to me. First of all, students love it being technology. Students love using new technologies in the classroom, whether it be the cool factor or just a genuine interest in new technology. It allows teachers to vary activities of the day and engage students. To quote, "There is no commandment for the education that says, 'Thou shalt not have fun.' Students spend hours using technology like computers and television when they get home from school, so why not engage them through their favorite mediums?" 2. It engages the 4 key components to learning. 3. Professional development. Using new technologies allows students to learn another skill set that will help them in the marketplaces. 4. It helps students with low attention spans. Students with ADD or ADHD can be aided through the use of technology by mixing up the learning process with different methods and through providing them engaging activities to keep their interest. And finally, it makes life easier for the teachers. Teachers have to juggle a variety of tasks outside of teaching, including planning lessons, grading, meeting with parents, and some administrative work. So why not help yourself out and put objective tests online so that students can instantly see their grades instead of spending valuable time grading the work? Computers and technology as a whole have been changing the way in which people learn. From e-learning to technologies in the classroom, I for one think they have become a necessity in the classroom.